The Clithari Empire prided itself on perfection. Their fleets were flawless. Silver crescents sweeping across star systems armed with weapons that could erase oceans and strip planets down to their molten cores. They ruled through intimidation and spectacle. To them, war was less about conquest and more about theater. So when they first heard whispers of humanity's prototype warship, they laughed. Earth was new to the stars, a fragile blue world barely climbing out of its gravity well. The humans had fought one another in messy, short-lived wars, never mastering the elegance of interstellar empire building. The Clithari considered them amusing, useful perhaps as miners or merchants. But soldiers? Never. Earth is a nursery, one Clithari minister scoffed in council. Its people still play with fire and iron. Now they claim to have built a battleship? Surely it must look like a child's toy, bright, noisy, and fragile. The chamber filled with laughter. Yet when the prototype launched, the laughter began to falter. The ESS Dauntless was no gleaming marvel. Its hull was brutal and angular, layered with overlapping slabs of armor. Its profile was uneven, almost ugly. Instead of the graceful energy lances favored by the Empire, it bristled with launch tubes, missile bays, and what looked like giant cannons mounted on rotating turrets. Worst of all, by Clithari standards, it had redundancies. Twin reactors, triple-layered life support, engine clusters that could lose half their thrusters and still burn. To the Empire, it was barbaric. To Earth, it was survival given steel. The crew who boarded it were volunteers, engineers, pilots, and soldiers who had sworn to defend humanity's first true starship. At their head was Captain Elena Drake, a woman whose calm gaze had steadied troops on Earth's battlefields long before the stars. When the Dauntless left dock, she gave her crew a simple order. We will not be the Empire's punchline. We will be the reason they remember humanity. The first encounter was meant to humiliate. 5 Clithari war cruisers intercepted the Dauntless near the border world of Vedra. They opened channels mocking as always. Power down, humans, the Clithari captain sneered. We'll tow your scrap heap to our academies. Perhaps cadets will learn from its creativity. Elena Drake didn't blink. Helm advance. Weapons, open fire. The Clithari expected hesitation, maybe surrender. Instead, the Dauntless exploded into motion. Its engines roared at unsafe levels, throwing the massive ship into maneuvers even the sleekest Empire vessels couldn't match. Missiles swarmed from hidden silos, spreading like shotgun pellets. They weren't clean energy weapons, but raw kinetic killers, dense uranium-tipped projectiles moving at a fraction of light speed. Clithari shields, tuned against plasma and radiation, barely registered the impacts before hulls caved in. The first cruiser died in silence, its decks venting atmosphere and bodies into space. The second was crippled by railgun fire so powerful its core ruptured. By the time the last 2 attempted to retreat, the Dauntless had rammed one at suicidal speed, surviving thanks to its savage armor reinforcement. 5 ships destroyed. The scrap heap still standing. Humanity erupted in cheers. The Clithari Empire fell into uneasy silence, but the Clithari were not so easily shamed. A single patrol could be explained away, luck perhaps or clever trickery. To crush the myth of the Dauntless, they dispatched a full fleet, 30 warships under Grand Admiral Sithrix, a legend of their empire. He promised to not only destroy the human prototype, but to broadcast its final moments across all Imperial networks. The galaxy will watch the humans burn, he declared. Elena Drake responded with a transmission of her own. Broadcast just as wide. You mocked us. You laughed at our ship. Now you will learn what humanity does when cornered. The battle above the gas giant Rhizor became history. The Clithari fleet approached in a flawless crescent, plasma lances glowing like an artificial sunrise. Their formation was textbook, predictable, efficient, beautiful. The Dauntless met them alone. It should have been suicide. 1 ship against 30. Yet from the moment the first shot fired, the battle broke into chaos. The Dauntless darted and twisted, using the gas giant's immense gravity as a weapon. It slingshotted around moons, diving in and out of magnetic storms, forcing the fleet to break formation. Its missiles struck from impossible vectors, its railguns cracked shields not designed for kinetic impacts, and its drones, improvised from repair bots, swarmed like insects, chewing into seams of enemy hulls. Clethari discipline wavered. Their ships had never faced an opponent that fought like this. Imperial warfare was precise and ritualistic. Humanity's warfare was desperate, brutal, and unfair. Hours stretched into days. The Dauntless lost entire sections of its hull. Fires raged across decks. Crew members fought in zero-G corridors, sealing breaches with their own bodies. But the ship kept fighting. Each time the Clethari thought it finished, it returned with another trick. Nuclear charges detonated in shadow, mines seeded into debris fields, kamikaze maneuvers that left enemy vessels shattered. On the third day, the battle ended. 27 Clethari ships lay in ruins. 3 limped away into hyperspace. The Dauntless, scorched and broken, still lived. The galaxy could not ignore it anymore. For the first time in generations, the Clethari Empire had been humiliated. Their fleets, symbols of invincibility, had been humbled by a species they had considered children. Rebellions stirred across conquered worlds. If humans could defy the Empire, why not others? Merchants refused tribute. Border colonies whispered of freedom. And everywhere the legend of the Dauntless grew. Admiral Sithrix was disgraced. Some said he begged the Council for mercy. Others claimed he ended his own life in shame. Either way, his fleet's defeat cracked the illusion of Clethari supremacy. The Empire tried to spin it as anomaly. A single ship. A freak encounter. But no amount of propaganda could erase the images of burning cruisers, of one battered warship refusing to die. Inside the Dauntless, the price was clear. Nearly a third of the crew lay dead. Reactor technicians had burned alive holding cooling systems together. Gunnery officers had fought until their railguns overheated and fused. Medics had collapsed from exhaustion patching wounds in smoke-choked medbays. And yet when Captain Elena Drake walked the ruined bridge, her crew still saluted. They had not broken. Neither had their ship. "This isn't just a prototype anymore," her first officer whispered. "It's a promise." Months later, as the Dauntless limped home for repairs, Captain Drake addressed the galaxy. "You thought us weak. You mocked our ship. But humanity does not build for beauty. We build for survival. And survival makes us unstoppable." Those words spread farther than any fleet. Across the stars, people began to hope. The mighty Clethari Empire had mocked Earth's warship. Now they whispered of its name with fear. Because the Dauntless had proven a truth older than empires. Wars are not won by elegance, not by tradition. They are won by will, and no species in the galaxy had a will to fight quite like humanity. In centuries to come, the Dauntless would be rebuilt, refitted, and outclassed by newer ships. But its legend would never fade. To some, it was the ship that cracked an empire. To others, it was proof that humans, fragile and flawed, could rise among the stars as warriors. But to its crew, it would always be something simpler. The moment humanity stopped being mocked, the moment they made an empire pay.